There's a quiet truth about human psychology that almost nobody talks about because it's too honest, too revealing, too close to the bone. Most people are not living as themselves. They're living as the version of themselves they had to become in order to survive the environments they grew up in. We like to think we are who we choose to be. But the truth is this: long before you had language, long before you had memory, long before you had control, your nervous system was already learning. It was absorbing the emotional climate of your home, reading the behaviors of the adults around you, shaping itself around what was safe and what was dangerous. You weren't shaping your personality, your environment was. Human beings come into the world wired for connection. A child needs emotional safety the same way they need food, warmth, and protection. The developing brain depends on it. When a child feels seen, heard, and valued, their identity grows from curiosity and freedom. But when a child grows up around chaos, unpredictability, emotional distance, criticism, or neglect, that child learns a different rule. Being myself is not safe. And the moment a child learns that, the authentic self doesn't die, it hides. The brain begins building defenses, identities, masks. Not because the child is weak, but because humans are programmed to survive at any cost. So the mask becomes the personality, and the wound becomes the foundation, and the false self becomes the only self you know. This is where the split begins, the invisible psychological fracture that so many adults carry but never recognize. The child who once felt deeply becomes the adult who feels nothing. The child who cried becomes the adult who apologizes for crying. The child who needed becomes the adult who rejects their own needs. The survival self is not a choice, it's a necessity. It shows up in ways you don't expect. The way you always assume you're the problem. The way you overthink every word you say. The way you brace for rejection even when nothing is wrong. The way you avoid conflict because your nervous system still believes conflict means danger. The way you apologize for being upset. The way you say, "it's fine," even when you're breaking inside. The way you struggle to trust someone who genuinely cares. These are not flaws, they are adaptations. The body keeps score, the nervous system remembers, the subconscious does not forget. Trauma isn't the event, it's the imprint the event leaves behind. It hides in muscle tension, in silence, in avoidance, in perfectionism, in anger you can't explain, in sadness you can't name. People think trauma means something catastrophic happened. But the most damaging trauma is often the invisible kind. The emotional absence, the unspoken tension, the lack of warmth, the chronic criticism, the silence after your feelings, the unpredictable behavior of the adults you depended on. Children don't say, "My caregiver is inconsistent." They say, "Something is wrong with me." And that becomes the core belief that shapes everything. I am the problem. I am not enough. I must earn love. I must perform. I must stay quiet. I must be what others need. And the farther you move away from your true self, the more your body keeps trying to pull you back. That pull is what people call anxiety. That pull is what people call depression. That pull is what people mistake for going crazy. But it's not madness, it's memory. It's your psyche trying to get your attention. The human mind cannot lie to itself forever. The mask gets heavy. The performance becomes exhausting. Eventually, the soul starts to leak through the cracks. The breakdown doesn't happen suddenly. It's a slow erosion, a quiet unraveling, a gradual collapse from years of being fine. You feel it in the confusion you can't explain, in the emotional numbness, in the nights where your thoughts won't stop racing, in the sudden waves of fear with no clear cause, in the sense that something inside you is missing, in the feeling that you don't even recognize yourself anymore. This is not weakness. This is the psyche calling you home. Every suppressed emotion returns as intensity. Every ignored wound returns as a pattern. Every abandoned part of you returns as a cry for help. The shadow self, the parts of you weren't allowed to express, starts pushing up from underneath the surface. The shadow contains the anger you were punished for, the sadness you were told to hide, the opinions you silenced to avoid conflict, the softness you protected, the dreams you buried, the boundaries you never learned, the truth you swallowed. When these parts rise, people panic. They think something is wrong with them. But what's actually happening is integration. The false self is cracking, and the real self is trying to return. Healing begins the moment the mask becomes too painful to wear. It begins when numbness becomes unbearable. It begins when the truth becomes louder than the denial. But healing is not gentle. It tears you open before it puts you back together. It exposes what you've avoided. It requires the courage to feel what you've spent years running from. You start noticing patterns, not because you're broken, but because you're finally aware. You start feeling emotions that scare you because you were never taught how to feel them. You start grieving things you never admitted you lost. Childhood, innocence, safety, belonging, identity. Grief is not weakness. It is the doorway back to yourself. Healing is not about becoming positive or enlightened or fearless. Healing is about becoming honest, brutally, painfully honest with yourself. It means asking, who did I become to survive? What parts of myself did I abandon? Whose approval am I still chasing? Whose voice is still living in my head? What wounds am I still carrying in silence? The answers may hurt, but they will also free you. Because healing is not adding anything to yourself. It's removing what never belonged to you in the first place, the guilt that was projected onto you, the shame you inherited, the fears you absorbed, the beliefs that were never yours, the roles you played to be loved. You don't heal by becoming stronger. You heal by becoming real. You heal by reconnecting with the child you once were, the one who felt deeply, loved freely, dreamed boldly, trusted naturally, and expressed without fear. That child is still inside you, waiting to be acknowledged, waiting to be held, waiting to be believed. The journey back to yourself is not easy. It is not quick. It is not linear, but it is worth it. Because the world does not need more people hiding. It does not need more masks. It does not need more perfection. It needs more humans who have faced themselves and returned whole. You are not too damaged. You are not too late. You are not beyond repair. You are buried. And healing is the process of being unburied. Not becoming someone new, but remembering the person you were before life taught you to forget. And that is the most powerful return a human can make.